Welcome back to the Kudlow Report. Okay, President Obama is reelected. Now, I'd like to know, are we on the path to welfare and government dependency, or is there a future for free market capitalism left in the United States? Here now is best-selling author and radio talk show host Larry Elder. He's out with a new book, Dear Father, Dear Son, 2 Lives, 8 Hours. Just briefly on the book, I think we're going to do it on the radio.
Okay.
This is your reconciliation with your dad?
It's a 247-page apology to what I call my junkyard dog, retired Marine dad, who I didn't understand until I got to be 25 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I look forward to that.
It's a really good read, Larry, no kidding.
To the book.
Yeah.
Let me go back to the election, the aftermath of the election. And I'm asking a serious question here. Are we becoming a nation that is welfare, government dependent, food stamps, disability insurance, things that may have helped win this election because so many people voted for the guy who heads the government who keeps them afloat? Is that where we're going, or is there a better future for America?
The short answer is, unfortunately, that is where we are right now. As for where we want to go, I don't know. In 1900, all 3 levels of government, Larry, federal, state, and local, took 10% of the American people's money. Right now, it's over 40%, even higher when you add a number to the so-called unfunded mandates. What Mitt Romney was saying in that closed-door meeting with his fundraisers was that 47% of the American people don't pay anything in federal income taxes. When you are making an argument that I'm going to reduce your taxes and lower the burden of taxes on you, and you don't pay any taxes, politically that's not a sellable argument. We're at a point where almost 50% of voters now can go in that voting booth, Larry, and pull the lever and vote themselves a raise at somebody else's dime.
Well, 50% roughly is the number of dependents in one way or another, subsidies, entitlements, and so forth, from the federal government. So the income tax payment is low, though they do pay payroll taxes. But the thing that troubles me so much, I'm not saying this election was bought, but I did write a column asking about the impact of this dependency. The Great Society failed, we know that. It's like we're recreating the Great Society again with Obamacare. Family breakup has had a devastating impact among the poorest of us.
Sure.
That's the tragedy here.
The lesson of the Welfare Reform Act of 1996 is that welfare rolls fell by 50%. Obama is loosening those requirements. It was the most successful social legislation passed in my lifetime, and unfortunately we have a nation of growing number of dependents. The unemployment rate, because of Obama's policies in the black community, Larry, is 14.3%. Emmanuel Cleaver, who's the head of the Black Congressional Caucus, said if under 14% we had a white person at Pennsylvania Avenue, we'd be marching on the White House. My goodness, 95% of blacks pulled the lever for Barack Obama.
Why is this? How do you assess that? I mean, and I'm going to ask you, by the way, what Republicans, if anything, can do about it. But how do you assess that? Unemployment is high for African Americans. Unemployment is high for Hispanics as well. And they still voted for Obama.
Because black people have been convinced that the Democratic Party wears the white hat in the area of social justice and the fight against racism, and the Republicans wear the black hat, when in fact racism is no longer a major problem in America, as evidenced by Obama winning and then winning re-election. Come on.
Did Romney lose because he only had 27% of the Hispanic vote?
It hurt. It hurt that he didn't get very much
lost in all the key states.
Yeah.
Lost in all the key states.
But he lost because of the exit polling that you talked about earlier in your show. Half the American people believe that he only cared about rich people, and half the American people believe that Obama felt their pain.
How does the GOP redo, how does it reconstitute its message to say that free market capitalism is the best path to prosperity? You can look at it historically, you can look at it internationally, and that this government welfareism is actually going to increase poverty, not reduce it. How do you sell that? How does the Republican Party do this?
To do it the way you just now did it, look them in the eye and speak to people like they're adults, not like they're children. When I see Republicans speak before black audiences, often they talk about how they used to march with Martin Luther King, or their dad marched with Martin Luther King. They don't talk about issues. They don't talk about economics. They don't talk about the fact that when you raise taxes, you actually create the situation where there's fewer jobs. My dad used to tell me that no poor person ever gave me a job. And black people, if you talk to them like adults, they'll respond. When I talk to black people and tell them about the privatization of Social Security, for example, it will disproportionately benefit them. They get it. When I talk to black people about having choice in education, they get it. They want choice, and Obama and the Democrats are opposed to it. If there's any issue that I think might be able to make black people rethink their assumptions, my goodness.
My great late friend and mentor, Jack Kemp, used to always talk about an opportunity society,
sure did,
an empowerment society, a free market society, a low tax society, because it would help the minorities the most. Why can't the GOP go into the halls, go into the projects? Kemp used to go into the projects all the time and make this case. Talk about ownership, talk about empowerment, talk about economic growth. What the hell? Why can't the GOP do that?
A Republican mayor once asked me to have a private meeting with him. He asked me the same thing that you asked me. And I said, have a press conference and look black people in the eye and say racism is no longer a major problem in America. Talk about all the things that you've done. The guy was very charitable. He'd given computers to inner city schools. Still, he got very little black support. Talk to them like they're adults and say, I'm tired of being called a racist. I'm tired of being called somebody who's trying to persecute you. You're not oppressed. You're not a victim anymore. Stop acting like it. He said, I can't say that. I said, meeting's over.
Meeting's over?
Meeting's over.
Why can't he say that?
You tell me. He's afraid of being called racist, being afraid of being hounded down. I don't know. How can you do worse than getting 95% of the black vote? How can you do worse?
These are economic questions predominantly, and they're economic statistics predominantly.
And Jack Kennedy was beloved by black people. He said it may sound paradoxical, but if you want to raise tax revenues, you must cut tax rates. When Reagan says this, it's called trickle down.
Well, I worked for Reagan, and I loved it. I think we got to get out of here. All right, Elder, great stuff.
Thank you.
I want to get you on the radio. I want to talk about your great book about your reconciling with your father. That's it for this evening's show. Thanks for watching, everybody.